Okay, today we're in section 1.1, expressions and variables. The first thing you need to know is a couple definitions. Okay, so we've got three terms here: a variable expression, and what it means to evaluate. Go ahead and write down each of these terms and their definitions, please. All right, so a variable is a letter used to represent a number. You can give it any value. Okay, a variable expression consists of numbers, variables, and operations. When we think of an operation, there are four basic mathematical operations. Anybody know one of them? Yes. Okay, order of operations, which involves four basic operations: addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. Those are our four basic mathematical operations. So an expression takes a number and a variable, and they're connected by some kind of operation: addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division. To evaluate just basically means to solve. All right, so here's how it looks in example 1. In example 1, we're evaluating expressions. Notice that I rewrote, okay, this is 4 times d, but I wrote it 4d. Okay, this way right here, this first way, the 4 with the dot, we are not going to write it that way. Anytime we write multiplication between a number and a variable, we're going to write it just 4d, 2x, 3y. Okay, the number and the variable is just right next to each other. All right, so we've got 4d, 4d when d equals what? 120. So we're going to substitute now, we're going to substitute the value for the variable. So 120, we plug in for d. So 4 times 120. And guys, I want you to use parentheses when you're multiplying numbers, okay? So if you're multiplying numbers, don't use an x, because that can be confused for a variable. Don't use a dot, because that can be confused for a decimal. Use parentheses. And 4 times 120 is what? 480. 480. All right, I want you to try to practice the next two. Evaluate those terms with the given values. So when x equals 9 and c equals 36, try to evaluate those expressions. All right, so evaluate 5x when x equals 9. So original term, make your substitution, 5 times 9, and what is 5 times 9? 45. 45. Did you box your answer? Yes, sir. All right. Okay, now I have c over 4. Make my substitution, and what's 36 divided by 4? 9. 9. All right, who got them both right? 45 and 9. Good job. Good job, guys. All right, so basic substitute and solve. Now, in example 2, it's a lot more of that, except now I have two variables. So I'm just substituting more than one value into my expression. Look at example 2a. All right, it says evaluate x plus y when x equals what? 10 and y equals 4. So 10 plus 4 is 14. All right, I want you to try to solve the other three. So x times y, or xy, with the given values, and then go over and try to solve your AB values. Okay, so try to solve those expressions, and then we'll go over it. All right, so xy, what operation did we say this meant when there's no sign in between? Multiplication, very good. So it's going to be x times y. So when I plug in my numbers, I'm going to use parentheses to show multiplication. Did you use parentheses? Okay, don't use the dot, don't use the x. All right, use parentheses, and what's your answer? 40. 40, very good. All right, let's come over here to a over b. So substitute 40 divided by 5, and what's 40 divided by 5? 8. All right, now this last one was a little trickier. 40 times 5 divided by 5, so I have to multiply first. 200 divided by 5 is 40. Did anybody get all three of those right? All three right? All right, any questions? Any questions? Anything? All right, no questions. All right, moving on to the last example, but before we do that, let's go ahead and evaluate these 4 problems real quick. Just right there in your notes. Go ahead and evaluate these 4. All right, so same thing we've been doing. Substitute and solve. So 12 plus 8 is 20. And 9 minus 6 is 3. And, that was a bad 3. And 12 minus 6 is? 6. And 6 times 12 is? 72. Who got all 4? All right, awesome. Good job, guys. All right, so now let's talk about operational keywords, okay? So let's see how much you know. All right, let's go through this first section. What operation is indicated by the word plus? Addition, very good. What about difference of? Subtraction. What about product of? Multiplication. Quotient of? Division. Minus? Fraction. Total? Addition. And times. Okay, awesome. Now, a review, you don't have to write that down, but you've got a chart in the middle of page 6 that kind of gives you some of those key words. You definitely need to know those. So if you don't know them, definitely become familiar with them. Now, look at what I have down here at the bottom. I want you to write this down. All right, exceptions. And what did I say? Flip the order. Flip the order. That'll make sense in a minute. But I want you to write down these exceptions: more than, less than, and fewer than. With all the other operational words, you're gonna translate the phrase to an expression just the way that you read it. But with these words, you need to flip the order. You actually have to write them in reverse. All right, so what do all 3 of those terms have in common? What word? Than. The word than. Okay, so whenever you see more than, less than, or fewer than, you're going to actually flip the order of the terms. All right? Got it? Okay, so let's see what that looks like in an example. All right, so in example 3, we've got a phrase. All right, so the second part of your homework tonight is going to be translating phrases into expressions. The first thing we have to figure out is what operation connects our terms together. Is it going to be, what's our 4 basic operations? Addition, subtraction, same with me, multiplication, or division. So the product of 15 and a number. So what operation connects them? What is it? Product, multiplication. 15 and a number. So let's just use the variable n. Okay, that would be fine. So 15 and a number. So did I teach you to write it like this? Does this show multiplication? No. Okay, that's not how we write it. So we just write it 15 and a number. 15n. 15n, that's it. Okay, that shows multiplication. The difference of 20 and 12. Okay, so difference means what? Subtraction. So 20 minus 12. All right, what about this one? 6 fewer than a number. Subtraction. It is subtraction, but because it's fewer than, instead of it being 6 minus n, I have to switch it, so it's going to be n minus 6. Okay, because of the fewer than. So since it says fewer than, I actually switch the order, and it's going to be n minus 6 because I'm taking 6 from n. I don't know what n equals. Now let's look at the next one. Twice a number plus 20. Now I have more than one operation here in my phrase. How would I write twice a number? It is multiplication. So how do I show multiplication between a number and a variable? Not yet. No. Okay, so twice. What number is that? Twice. 2. So 2n. Twice a number. Multiplication between 2 and a number, 2n. What about plus? What is that? Addition sign? 20. Do you see how we're kind of picking it apart? All right, find your operational words and then connect your terms together with that operation. So if it's product, you connect them with multiplication. If it's a quotient, then you connect them with division. All right, and then what about a number divided by 6? So that's easy. Number divided by 6 or number divided by 6. All right, so we're translating phrases into expressions. You're going to have a section like this on your homework tonight. All right, any questions? Anything at all? Any questions? All right, if you understand that, that's everything you need to know for 1.1.